Walking the path today. Let me tell you something. What does it mean to walk the path? It means that you're walking the path of life independent of circumstance and condition. We stay grounded and rooted and centered in ourselves, no matter what the external circumstance. Now, that's really nice to say, but walking the path is actually doing it, is actually staying centered when circumstance and condition start to make you wobble a little bit, or you wobble because of circumstance, or you let me just speak from the I let circumstance and condition give me a little bit of a wobble. So that's what walking the path is. Walking the path is staying centered in the midst, that we bring our joy to the situation. The situation doesn't give us our joy. We bring our peace to the situation. The situation doesn't give us our peace. We bring the atmosphere that we want to experience and create. We're not waiting for something to give it to us. That's walking the path. So today, there's some challenge, there's some wobbles in my field, and I get to meditate. I get to know the truth. I get to stay in my power. I get to walk the path. We get to walk the path. And the difference between saying I get to and I have to or I need to is the difference between victim and victor. If I'm a victim to circumstance and condition, I'm letting something outside of me control me. And the only thing that I can control, the only power that I have is how I am going to respond or what I am going to bring. So we're not here to get something from circumstance and condition or from people to make us feel better. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you. I'm just seeing, thank you everybody for joining in. We're not here to get something from circumstance and condition or from people to make us feel good. We're here to bring what we want to experience to life. We're here to express and radiate that which we are seeking to find. Hi, everybody. Hey, everybody. Love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So today's talk is on integration and embodiment. And part of it is realizing that thank you, beautiful, thank you so much. Part of this is realizing that we are here. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me just change a setting here. Okay, all right, sorry, there was a setting that was off. All right, here we are. So we are here to bring our joy. We're not here, and that joy has to come from within. The world didn't give it to us, and the world can't take it away from us. It doesn't mean we're insensitive to circumstance and condition. It doesn't mean we're insensitive to what's going on in the world, but it means no matter what's going on, there's something in us, whether we're in a peak or a valley. It's okay. Let's not fight the lows. The lows are just as important as the highs. Winter is just as important as spring. And in fact, important stuff happens during the winter for spring to occur as magnificently as it does. This happens to be nature, and nature is our teacher. Nature is my teacher. And the more that I can get in touch, in tune with the rhythms of life, oh my, I feel a poem coming on. William Wordsworth. Now, I know the white English canon, right? But there's some good stuff in there. And so William Wordsworth writes a poem in 1850 called "The World is Too Much with Us." The world is too much with us, getting and spending, late and soon we lay waste our power. Little we see in nature that is ours, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the flowers that are up gathered now at sleeping hours. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn, so that I may find thoughts making me less forlorn. I could see Poseidon rising from the sea, or Proteus blowing his wreathed horn. Great poem. I know I missed a line in there, but what a beautiful poem that tells us, that we are to be in tune with nature, with the rhythms of life. And when we walk through life as if everything is alive, breathing, the life inside of everything, even the rocks, even a piece of dust, even a piece of trash is alive, full of the aliveness of life everywhere around us. Then we walk in a world transformed. We're not walking in a dead world, we're walking in a living world, and we are part of it. When we get in tune with it, we see the life everywhere. The sea becomes Poseidon and Proteus and the gods and goddesses everywhere. And we are gods and goddesses ourselves here to create our lives. We are the creators of our lives. We are the creators of our experience. I'm not a victim to anything. I'm a victor. You're a victor. You're a god. You're a goddess. We're God in drag, as Ram Dass says. So, how do we embody these ideas? First of all, ideas like this come to us, come to me, and then you go, oh, sounds great. And then the next thing, something happens, and I'm looking for my joy from a circumstance or condition, or I'm letting a circumstance and condition give me a wobble in my energetic field. That's okay. So embodiment and integration are key points after you've had a large spiritual expansion, after you've had a ceremony with plant medicine, after you've had a realization through meditation or through your therapy work, working with a spiritual practitioner, working with your therapist, working with yourself. You have an insight, and then everything seems to be clear. And then you go back into life, and that thing that you thought you fixed, you healed your forgiveness, your unforgiveness, or you healed your people pleasing, or you healed your no boundaries, or you healed your perfectionism, or you healed your control issues. And then you go back into life, and bam, there you're controlling, there you're people pleasing, there you have no boundaries. How do we integrate? So there's a beautiful chart about the 4 levels of mastery. Maybe you've seen it. And the 4 levels of mastery are, it begins with unconscious incompetent. And then there's conscious incompetent. And then there's conscious competent. And then there's unconscious competent. Let me see here. Obsessed with this concept, watching The Answer Is You on repeat during integration. So conscious, unconscious incompetent, conscious incompetent, conscious competent, unconscious competent. Those are the 4 levels of mastery. Those are the 4 levels of integration and embodiment. Integration is moving between the levels of conscious incompetent and conscious competent. That's the learning curve. So let's use the example. Last week, I told the group at Rythmia last week that I would talk about this week on this live, because it's so important for integration, for any stabilization of any insight that you've had. So here's the way it works. Think about when you learned to tie your shoes. First of all, you were unconscious and incompetent at one point. You didn't know there were shoes. You didn't know there were laces. You didn't know how to tie them. You didn't know anything about it. Unconscious, incompetent. Then you learned there were these things called shoes and they needed to be tied, but I can't do it. So you had to have somebody tie your shoes for you. Then you learned how to tie your shoes, but you didn't learn all at once. Sometimes you did it, sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you could, sometimes you couldn't. And you were in this loop of conscious, you were conscious of it, but incompetent at it, and conscious and competent. And you moved through this until eventually it was embodied, or second nature. You were unconscious. You don't have to think about tying your shoes anymore, and you're completely competent. This is the process of integration of spiritual ideas as well. So let's take unforgiveness. Or let's take what I'm working through right now, right? What I'm working through right now is embodying this idea that I need to speak up around certain things in life. I don't need to be angry about it. There's a way to rumble and leave everybody whole. My default, anger and conflict are not my default. My default is more like, oh, let's just get along. Don't worry, I'll work it out. Oh, maybe you're right. That's my default. So in a situation where I need to speak up for myself. I typically don't do it until I get really bear down, Eric, right on, brother. I don't do it until I get really mad, and then I explode, and then I look like a fool, right? Like it's like suppress, 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 blow up. Then you're like, I see, anger doesn't work. So there's a way. So this is my growing edge. This is where I'm at in terms of integration and embodiment. So I had this insight around speaking up. I had this insight around being clear with my words. Hey, Matthew, good to see you, brother. I had this insight around staying in my truth and staying centered and speaking clearly before it gets to a explosion. And now something happens, and I'm kind of wobbly in that. So I get to choose conscious, competent. I get to choose. Oh no, this is my intention. This is my growing edge. All right, I'm going to stay calm and assertive and receptive. Calm, assertive, receptive. Calm, assertive, receptive. That's my intention. Now I get to have a conversation with somebody about some stuff that's going down. And I get to be calm. I don't have to blow up. I get to be assertive, speak my truth. And I get to be receptive because my truth is my truth. It's not the truth. It's a truth. It's my truth, and it's valid. Their truth is valid too. So I have to be receptive. I have to be assertive. I don't have to be anything. My intention is to be receptive and assertive and calm. And the more I do that, situations will arise in life, and I'll have the chance to either suppress or to speak up. And every time I speak up, and every time I stay calm, assertive, and receptive, every time I speak my intention, then I begin to embody it. And finally, it'll become second nature. And I won't have to be like, okay, my intention is to be calm, assertive, receptive. This is an opportunity for me to speak up and to speak my truth. I have to remember that it's my truth and not that truth, and to be open and available to receive what other people are saying, but stay grounded in my truth, all of that stuff, until eventually it becomes second nature. This is the beauty of this chart of the 4 levels of integration and embodiment. So what are you going through? Maybe you can put something in the chat. What are you going through right now? In terms of being calm, assertive, and receptive? What are you going through what are you going through in terms of your growing edge, not in terms of being calm, assertive, and receptive? What are you going through in terms of you growing into something, an insight that you've had, a realization that you've had about some old way of being, and that you'd like to have a new premise about? Okay, Sarah says setting boundaries without feeling like a bitch. Perfect. Great. Okay, so the clear boundaries are for me. So Sarah, I love it. Thank you for checking in. So here's the deal. Boundaries come from you knowing what you want, what you need, what you desire, and what you deserve. Boundaries come from you knowing your truth. So the key to setting boundaries, you don't really have to set boundaries. You have to know your truth, and then the boundaries automatically set. You have to know what you want and what you need and what you desire and what you deserve. Those are 4 different things. Well, maybe what you want and what you deserve are the same thing, but they're 4 different categories, let's say. So getting clear about that. For me, in this situation, let's see, Sarah, what else are you saying? Holding the boundary without picking up others' judgments and expectations. Okay, such a good point. That's where we get to honor ourselves. We get to honor that it is my truth, not the truth. Other people have their truths, but this is my truth, and it's valid. And the other piece is we get to not be concerned about what other people think. I can't control what other people think, no matter how much I position myself. I can't control it. I can't control what they think. So what you think of me is none of my business. What somebody thinks of you is none of your business. It's none of you. that's on them. And it has more to do with their own projections and their own shit. It doesn't have anything to do with you. What has something to do with you is your truth and staying calm, assertive, and receptive when you are knowing that your position, your truth is valid. And we have to, because it's not the truth, we have to be open to hearing what other people say. But if somebody's coming at you with, judging you and giving you opinions about what you think, they're not sharing their truth, they're critiquing yours. So you can ask them, like, well, what is your truth here? Because here's my truth. What's your truth? And let's figure out if we can find some common ground. Now, there are times when you can't find common ground. And there are times when you leave a conversation and it still doesn't feel good. And guess what? That's okay. I have to learn this too. It's okay. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. We have been through a lot of uncomfortable shit in our lives. You have been through a lot of uncomfortable shit. I have been through a lot of uncomfortable shit. So we pretty much know about discomfort. So it's okay. It's okay if sometimes at the end of the conversation you didn't find common ground, but you spoke up and you spoke your truth. It's okay. Let that be enough. Sometimes it's just not going to be comfortable. And that's where we get to step into what somebody else thinks is none of my business. I can't control what other people think. There was something else that wanted to come through around that. It'll come through. What else are you saying, Sarah? I've been asking, what's your intention? It's a life-changing, and it's then asking permission before I share mine. Okay. So yeah, asking people what their intention is and stating your intention. It's beautiful, super powerful, super powerful. Oh, what other people think of us is none of our business. We get to be in our truth, and it's okay. Who we are, what we want, what our needs are, they're important. They're important. And if somebody doesn't appreciate our wants and needs and desires, they're not our tribe. Because the people that really love us are going to be like, oh man, I'm so glad you shared that with me. I want to meet that. I want to respect that, you know? So, okay. I think this is our Facebook Live for today. Our Instagram Live, our Facebook Live, it's our live. I'm so grateful for you all being here. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I wish you a beautiful day. Staying in your truth, staying in your centeredness, knowing that what are you bringing to the conversation? I'm bringing calm, assertive receptiveness. I'm bringing peace. You're beautiful too. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sarah. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Much love, peace, and richest blessings.